What's up guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to build your own Night Rider scanner. So let's get started. So let's go over the parts that we need. So as you can see here are all the parts that we need. First of all, I've got this scanner light which has 12 LEDs across. I got this off of a motorcycle brake light, but you could use any light bar you want, like the one from a brake light of a car for example. Alright, next of all, we need the Arduino. I'm using an Arduino Uno in this case, which obviously we need to program to run the Night Rider scanner light program, and we obviously need some wires for that. And optional, we have this little IDE connector which we could modify so it makes it easier to connect to the Arduino. Now first of all, I began by cutting the wires to length. We're obviously going to need a lot of wires, so I cut those to the desired length. So you can see I've got all of those cut and ready to be tinned. So you can see me here tinning the copper ends of the wires, which will make it easier for us to solder to the light bar later. So you just want to tin all the wires that you have and prepare them for soldering to the LEDs of the light bar. Now let's begin to disassemble the light bar. So I'm just going to take those 3 screws that this light bar has. So just unscrew each and every single one of those. And you can see it simply just opens up. Now the first thing I did was to unsolder the 2 wires that connect to this light bar, because we're not going to be using those anymore. So just remove that, get rid of it. And the next step is basically to break all the connections across all of those LEDs, because we don't need all of those to light up at the same time. We only need one LED at a time. So I'm just going to cut all the traces of copper between all the LEDs, just cut each one of those. Now you can see that I've cut all of those. You want to make sure that they are perfectly cut. And now I'm clamping the light bar on a little clamp, so I could easily tin the LED lights. So just tin each LED with some fresh new solder, which will make it a lot easier to solder your wires on. So you can see I'm just going to tin all the LEDs now. Now, after tinning all the LEDs, you can see that we've got some nice new solder on all the LEDs. So you can see now the light bar is ready for soldering our wires to. So I'm just going to clamp it back in, and I'm just going to begin to solder the wires to the LED. I'm going to be using a black wire for the negative terminal of the LED and the red one for the positive terminal of each LED, which is going to make it a lot easier for me to know which one's ground and which one's positive. So you can see I'm just going to solder a wire, 2 wires for each LED. Now you can see here at the end of those LEDs, I stopped using red and black wires. I used different color wires because I ran out, but that doesn't matter. Just gotta know which one's positive, which one's negative. So now that we've got all of our wires ready, we're just going to strip all the wires, so just strip each and every single one of them. Now, here's where we need to separate the ground, so just simply separate all the ground cables. So just separating each and every single ground wire from the positive ones, just have them all together. Because we need to connect all of those together, because we only need one ground wire for the whole light bar. So, you see I'm just cutting the wires to length because we need to connect all the grounds together. So just cut them and strip them and just connect them all together so that we have only one ground wire. Now once you have all your connections ready, you just want to apply a little bit of solder on the ground wires just to make sure that they won't go anywhere. Just put some solder on them, and once you're done, just use some insulative tape to insulate everything from each other. Now that's a really critical step. Now you want to make sure that you test every single LED, because you want to make sure that they all work, because you don't want to put this whole thing back together and have like an LED or two not functioning. So just make sure that they all work. If some of them don't work, just make sure that they're connected properly and test them again and make sure that every single LED works perfectly. That's a really important step that you have to make sure that you check before moving to the next step. So here I'm just going to extend that ground wire because it's a bit short. Just extend that, solder the copper joint, and use some electrical tape to insulate it. Now you can see here for the IDE connector, I'm just going to separate the wires that come out of this connector. So we could start separating the top row of pins from the bottom row of pins. We just separate all of those wires. You can see it doesn't fit the way it is in the Arduino, so we're going to have to modify this a bit later. So we're just going to separate all of the wires with this pattern, so that way we know which wires are for the top row of pins and which wires are for the bottom row of pins. So just going to separate those using this pattern. So now that we've got all those separated, we're just going to cut off the wires that we don't need for the upper rows of pins for the connector. So we're just going to cut those. You could change that according to how you plan on connecting the wires to your Arduino. So that's the way mine is. So just cut the top wires and I'm going to strip all the bottom wires. So now that we've finished that step, you can see that here's where we need to modify the connector a bit because it doesn't fit the way it is in the Arduino. So we need to cut this in two halves. So first of all, you can see I'm gonna count 8 pins from that connector. So we're just gonna mark after that 8th pin with our razor blade in this case. Just gonna put a nice mark there, and you see I tried cutting it with the razor but it didn't really seem to do much. So I moved over to the pliers with the cutting edge, and using that mark that we did with our razor, I positioned the pliers perfectly on that mark. So you can see I'm just trying to get that perfectly on the mark, and after that I just put a lot of force to snap that connector in half. So just force that, and you can see it just breaks off. So you can see that now that we got that broken off, we have basically two halves. You can see just gonna cut off the other part, so we have our cables fit perfectly in the Arduino. So you could see now that fits pretty nicely in the Arduino. Now that little cap just popped off, which doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna stick that back with some electrical tape. So just preparing that. So you don't really have to do this, but I just use some electrical tape to stick that back. So now I got my two connectors ready. So I'm just gonna connect the light bar to that connector that I've cut. So I actually start from the second wire of that connector because the first one is for pin 0, but we're not going to be using pin 0 in our programming. So I start with the next one, which is pin 1, because we're going to be programming this to connect to the Arduino from pins 1 to 12, so we don't need pin 0. So just going to solder those wires together and then use some electrical tape to insulate those. So here's the first connector done. Now I'm going to do the other connector. Now the way we're going to be wiring the light bar to our Arduino is pretty much from pin number 1 to pin number 12 on our Arduino, because that's the way the program that we're going to have to upload to our Arduino is written, which you could copy and paste from the description of this video. So just make sure that the connections from the light bar to your Arduino matches the program that you're going to upload to it, so that you're going to have a properly working light bar at the end of this video. Now you can see here, that's the wire after the wire for pin 12. I cut that because that's for pin 13. We're not going to be using pin 13, so I just cut that, and with the wire next to it, that one's for our ground, the 14th wire. So I'm just going to connect the ground, solder it, and use an electrical tape to insulate that wire. Now I'm just going to cut all of those excess wires that we never really used. Now you can see here I'm just bending all the wires kind of to the back of the light bar, because that's going to make it a lot easier to reassemble that light bar to its casing. So just bend those back. Now I'm going to separate those two strands of wire, so I'm just going to cover those wires with some electrical tape, just kind of have a nice clean look of it. Just going to run some electrical tape across each strand of wire, so this just makes it more organized. So here's the first strand done, and I'm going to do the other strand of wires. Now I'm going to begin to see how we're going to modify this casing to fit the modified light bar. So you can see it still lines up with the casing, but when you try to close it, you always have those two strands of wires, which would make it impossible for it to close. So we need to modify this plastic by cutting it. So first of all, I began to mark the parts that we need to cut. So just gonna mark those with my razor blade, and after that I've got my marks ready. So I found the easiest way to cut this is by a hacksaw. So just use my hacksaw to simply just cut it. You just want to make sure you move nicely and slowly so that it just doesn't snap in half. So you can see I just simply cut the plastic with my hacksaw. It seems to be doing a pretty good job overall. Now you can see I'm using my pliers to kind of rock that little piece of plastic back and forth to break it off the casing. So I just want to do this pretty slowly because you really don't want to snap this thing in half. So just kind of try and error here. Just use the pliers and try to break it off with your hands sometime until you get this broken off nicely. So here in my case, the best way was to pretty much clamp that piece of plastic on my little clamp and kind of push it with the plastic piece, and you can see it just broke off nicely. And you can see here I'm just kind of cleaning up that those little shards of plastic. You could sand that if you want, but mine looks pretty good anyways. Now you can see I'm basically just going to reassemble that light bar. Now I'm putting that little piece of tape to help put that little piece of plastic, just gonna hold it in place till we reassemble it. It makes the job far easier. So I'm pretty much just gonna reassemble the whole light bar now. Now that we've got that little piece of plastic cut. You can see it just closes perfectly in this case. And you want to put those screws back, so I'm just gonna put those screws back. Now I'm just gonna make sure that all my screws are nice and tight. So now I'm pretty much doing some final touches. So you can see those wires that are kind of exposed. So I'm just gonna use some electrical tape to kind of clean up the look of that. So you kind of do this whichever way you want, and just put a little piece of tape around the wires, just kind of to cover up those exposed wires. So now you can see that we finally got the light bar pretty much perfectly ready for connecting it to our Arduino. So with those connectors that we attach to it, it pretty much connects perfectly to the Arduino. Now you could use different connectors for your Arduino model that you have. That works for my Arduino pretty much perfectly. So here's our scanner finally ready, and it's connected to our Arduino. So next of all, we need to program it. So you can see you just need to connect it to your computer, and with the Arduino software you need to copy and paste this programming code from the description. I'll leave it in the description. And if you want to change the speed of each scan in this light bar, you can just change this value of the delay of the DEL. You just need to upload that sketch to your Arduino, and once it's done uploading, you would finally have a fully working NightRider scanner. I really hope that this video helped you build your own NightRider scanner. I hope you learned something from this video, and please let me know in the comments if this worked for you, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more content. Thank you.